What is up, y'all? So, this is another video that I wanted to make because tomorrow, as I'm making this video, there's supposed to be a purchase blackout where basically there's a couple of companies that people are like do not spend any money for 24 hours. Um, I get the intent, and I get the intent of what happened back in 2020 with the Black Lives Matter. I get a lot of the intent here. You remember those Instagram squares, those blackout Instagram squares, that dumb shit. Here's why I feel like America, the United States of America has forgotten how to protest slash boycott, and why we're doomed to fail every single time. And most of them listen to reasons of what we can do, right? So let's get started. I have it written down right here. I'm just gonna read them off and talk about them. Let's start with organization, because a lot of these groups, a lot of the things we're doing is way too unorganized. This is a random group that no one heard of. Make an Instagram post that this is what we're finna do, and then a bunch of people like share it, and then no, it's too unorganized. It doesn't feel professional. It doesn't feel like it's going to do anything positive. It just feels like a waste of time. And for the most part, it really is. Because a day of not purchasing, when a small group's going to do it, because not everyone even knows that this is happening, and then most people don't. It just doesn't. It just again does. It's not organized. People don't feel the weight behind what they're doing. And what's going on right now is just it's not really doing anything. Um, it's really on serious. So the thing about organization is that it needs to be well thought out. Like, it needs to be an actual plan, the actual action. It needs to be thought out. A lot of these things just feel so random. Like, I remember when I used to use TikTok years ago, like, it was just a bunch of like, hey, we're blacking out, we're not making content, all this stuff. I get the whole we're trying to amplify voices, but there are way better and more effective ways to do it that statistics show and history shows. And it's like people don't read or even listen to history and see what works and use that. It's like they just free ball shit, and it doesn't make any sense. Um, Another thing is you have to have a face to it, be it a person or an organization, right? It could be a nonprofit, stuff like that. There has to be someone who is the face of this movement, because without that, it's there's no leadership, there's no organization. It's just a bunch of random stuff happening here, there, everywhere, and there's no one to, I don't want to say enforce, but at least to like to be a guide. There's no one guiding this. It's just a bunch of people who are operating based off faith that their neighbors doing this, and it's just that's just not realistic. There's no type of face to this. There's no type of like, hey, when we do these actions, who goes to the negotiation table? For example, a perfect example of this is when SAG-AFTRA went on strike, right? And the Writers Guild went on strike. They had a union head. They have their union heads. Those people go to the table. Those people end up negotiating with the studios and with these other, like, there's a negotiation that happens, right? There's a face to it, and there's negotiation. When you come to protests like these, and when you're fighting big corporations, who are the big corporations talking to, right? It's just a bunch of people on accounts that some of these organizations own or have a huge stake in, and they're not taking you seriously. There's no face. There's like, who are they talking to, right? It's just a bunch of people. Like, it's just a bunch of people, and they have more faith in you giving up this boycott than they do of you sticking to it and forcing them to lose a lot of money. And more times than not, people give up or don't even try, right? So another thing is a common goal and a clear goal, and that's really important. What are we protesting and boycotting for? What are we boycotting or protesting, and then what are we doing it for? Like, what is the end goal here, right? For SAG-AFTRA, they had all these lined up of the demands, like what they wanted, and that's what the negotiation for. That's what the striking was for. Like, that's the whole premise. And the studios had stuff they want, and so both sides knew what each side wanted, so they knew what they were fighting for, and they knew what when negotiations did start happening, they're like, okay, we know what it is that we're here talking about. Otherwise, if you do even get to the negotiation table, even if you have a figure or head or organization there spearheading this whole thing, neither side's going to know what either side wants. It's going to be a bunch of like, it's going to be a waste of time, right? So that's something you need. And also, when you rally troops, there needs to be a common goal. They need to know what they're fighting for. Like, if they're just there doing shit, it's just gonna be like, oh, this is a cool trend, especially in the day and era we are now. It's just gonna be like a trend for them to feel good about themselves. Like, oh, we stuck it to the man, like we did something, and then we'll turn around and give them their money back, right? So without a common goal and a clear goal, is doomed to fail to start. Involve small businesses, involve small/local businesses. A lot of the time we do these protests, we do not involve small local businesses. Now, not everyone's going to want to be involved with that, but if you don't involve small business or local business, it's particularly especially like something like this, where you're fighting big pharma, you're fighting big corporations, and the whole point is to redirect that money, which I agree with. I think redirection of money and voting slash protesting slash boycotting with your wallet is a huge and the best way to hit at corporations, right? For this particular goal. So you have to redirect your money. It has to go somewhere. People have to buy goods. People have to shop. Like, this is not like a, you know what I'm saying? So it needs to go somewhere. So you need to start involving small businesses. So you gotta get a couple of businesses and be like, look, this is what we're doing. We want to redirect this, like, for example, Target. We want to redirect Target's consumer base or Walmart's consumer base. We want to take those customers and redirect them towards you. So, hey, this is the blackout day or blackout week we're doing, or blackout month we're doing, through a day or a random day or a week or something. Let's organize a day or a week where maybe you have like 10% off or something, and then we can or we can put signs, or can we put signs on your doors, or can you hand out these cards with every purchase? Like, just involve these small businesses so that we're going to redirect all this money to you. We just hope that you are part of the cause, right? Just do something that's a part of the cause, like just something. Just, I know I'm spitballing here. I'm just kind of giving you broad ideas, but just like the ideas themselves. Like, you got to involve these small businesses, because you're doing this blackout thing. None of these small businesses know about this shit, or probably don't know about this shit. And it's like, without like a list of where people could go alternatively to shop for things they want, these blackouts don't mean anything. People are going to go right back to Amazon the next day, or like, it's just, you got to evolve them. Constant communication. You got to, like, let's say you do have a face, or you do have a face of this whole thing, right? That organization or face has to constantly communicate, whether that means constantly tweeting, constantly posting somewhere, constantly being on TV or on the internet, just something to show that they're alive and well, and that they're actively still fighting for the people's best interests. You gotta have that constant communication. Hey, we're gonna hold a rally at this location at this time. Like, you gotta constantly communicate. There's no such thing as over communication, or whether that's like having a website and for the face of this, the leadership of this, and having weekly or monthly newsletters for updates or rally places or stuff like that. Like, you need to have constant communication. Lastly, for organization, is show results. You gotta show the results of what it is you're doing. So let's say it's been let's say it's been 6 months of boycotting and blackouts. Show the results of what this happened. Now, sometimes you have to wait for the businesses to, like, do their quarterly report or whatever, or end the year report. But there are other things you can do. You can be like, hey, notice that Target's having more sales, or look at Walmart marking down a lot of the items that were inflated to these prices, but now they're marking at this prices because they can't sell anything. All their produce and stuff's going bad because people are shopping at their local stores or whatever, or they're finding other places. They're shopping at Aldi's, whatever you may say. They're just shopping somewhere else, Costco, other places. Show the results of your work. Use it to your advantage. That's something that a lot of people underestimate. They don't show the good they've done, so people don't know that shit's working, and they get apathy, or they don't want to do it anymore, or they don't believe in it, and they just walk away. Now, let's go to another part that really pisses me off about how people do things these days. Promote, right? Forget random social media posts and stories about stuff that no one even knows about, and they're blindly trusting strangers on the internet. No. You need to be going on tour. You need to organize this ahead of time and go on tour. You need to be hitting podcasts. You need to be hitting news networks. You need to be putting flyers on small businesses, on street corners, in cafes, wherever. You got to start posting this stuff, or you got to make it known on, like, these bigger platforms, right? Because what you should use social media is after you go on these news networks and podcasts. You then make those clips go viral. You make the podcast, you make those go viral instead of these random posts that people are just supposed to like believe in. You go on Call Her Daddy, you go on the Joe Rogan podcast, you go like I know those like two of the biggest and hard to get on there, but you know what I mean. Like you just go on these podcasts or these YouTubers, like these streamers, like you just go where the people that you want to reach are, and speak on it, clear and concise of what you want to do, how you plan on doing it. Make those go viral because they will, and then use that to start pushing your blackouts, protests, boycotts ideas, right? Like that's the people get it backwards. People get it really backwards with that. And then small scale, small scale, then go big. A lot of people start way too big sometimes, depending on what it is. Like focus on the community level, focus on the town level, focus on the city level, then state, the nation, the international, right? Like sometimes it's about showing that a small community can survive without some of these big corporations, right? They're surviving off of mom and pop shops. I know, and I'm not talking about those communities like in the middle of nowhere. I'm talking about communities that do have a lot of these stores, but they also have mom and pop local stores, and they're just going there instead, and they have this beautiful rapport. They're doing. I know there's co-op markets, all kinds of different places, right? We can buy organic food for a little cheaper, and you can even buy into the stock of these businesses. There's all kinds of different things you can do. So, and there's flea markets, especially in the West Coast. There's flea markets, or people call what's it called, them swap meets, things like that. Like there's so many alternative ways, right, that you can start small and show that we can survive without these places. You bleed them dry. Like there's other ways to go about it. So, and if you have a community that shows like, hey, this is what happens when we share. Like when we share resources and when we don't give it to these big companies, or hey, this is what happens when we support the local pharmacy instead of these other pharmacies, or this is what happens when we some places are banning textbooks and different things. This is what happens when education plays a big factor in our community, in our city, and in our state, and being the example of that, and then it will spread. Like once you have the blueprint, it's easy to pass that blueprint out, right? So there's different things like that. But that's like a thing where it has to be like a snowball effect. You really have to start small with that. And I've seen it done for many things before. So that is something that you can do. That's something you can operate in. And then lastly, the last bullet points is attack their their weaknesses, their weak spots, right? I feel like we're not again, with our organization, all these things fall. None of these things really matter. So protest with your wallet, redirect your money to small businesses and local talent. What I mean by that is obviously protest your wallet. I think that's the best way to get to some of these big organizations. Redirect that money, like I said, to small business. Like I said earlier, like, hey, here's like create a spreadsheet. Create spreadsheets like just like how they have Reddits for every state, or they have Barstool for every college. Like, and then each of those colleges focuses on just what's happening in their college, or Reddit pages just focus on what happened in their communities, their cities. You can do that with like some type of spreadsheet or something, where it's like each state just lists all the local stores that are here, and then have it categorized like, here's for groceries, here's for camera or electronics, here's for this, here's for cell phones, there's so many ways, jewelry, there's so many other ways, like, you can do that to help small businesses. And so, because a lot of people don't know where these small businesses are, and it's expensive, to deal with like Google and all those other places. So sometimes it's like, yo, here's these small businesses, here's by category, here is the addresses, all that different stuff. You can even put like, here are some black-owned businesses, here are some Asian-owned businesses, here are some Hispanic or Latin-owned businesses, there's Indian businesses. There's so many different ways to go about it. You even go by country. Here are some Ghanaian restaurants, or here's some Ghanaian-owned hair salons, or like, there's so many ways you can categorize this so people can support their own communities, stuff like that. So there's so many different ways you can get a small business or local business involved. And a lot of that's also that communication factor. Communicate with these businesses that you want to redirect a bunch of people's money to them, right? Help promote those businesses, right? There's so many different ways you can go about this. And some of that is like when some of these organizations that protest and boycott or lead these things, they want these donations. some of that donation should not just like go to the small business for the sake of donating a small business. You can do it where it's like, hey, we want to redirect these people to you, but the only way we can do that is if you have better marketing. So we're going to use some of the budget we got from these donations to help these small local businesses promote their product or business better, right? We can do this to get you a local commercial, commercial, or we can do this to help you pay a famous influencer or whatever in your city to like repost your business. Or there's so many different ways, but you gotta really be organized to think like that. So yeah, there's a way to do that. When I say local talent, I mean there's a lot of people who grew up in different areas. Reach out to that talent. Be like, yo, a good way to get back to your community is by showing up to like your local comic book store and do a signing if you're like a comic book actor or something, or like, hey, a thespian, and just be like, yo, we have a local theaters. It'd be really cool if we can come and I don't know, just do something here that can like. It's not always about donating your money, but like just donate your time, which is even more important. Hey, can you do like a signing at this local theater in like in this city you grew up in or the state you grew up in? Like let's get something together. It's not have to always be in LA or New York City. And a lot of these premieres, I'm like, bro, there's a lot of great theaters outside of New York and LA that deserve a lot of love that you can really get people to, right? And it's like, yo, start hosting premieres at some of these local theaters that are really ingrained into the movie industry and ingrained into the community, and you can host these events and it can be a great freaking time. And so there's different things like that. You can like, really reach out to these actors, reach out to some of these people and get stuff going. And I know for like, it's a whole thing with studios and deals and stuff like that, but it doesn't have to always be your big blockbuster movie. It can be something where it's like a short film that does have a A-list actor, right, or whatever, that you can say, hey, instead of putting that in this theater, you can let's go to a more local established theater like the AFI and Silver Spring, Maryland. I think is a super underrated theater, and I think it deserves a lot more funding, a lot more love, and a lot more attention. So stuff like that. Get more events to your small local business instead of big corporations. Like I said, like reach out to your local athletes, your local actors, like whatever. Reach out to like these big celebrities. Be like, yo, there are a lot of small businesses that could really use you coming and doing a signing at our local comic book store, right? Or whatever. Like for example, I got to meet Jeff Johns and get him to sign something for my comic book for me, 2 comic books for me for free. And it was because my local comic book store reached out to him. I think he's friends with the owner or whatever, but reached out to him and like came to our local comic book store. And Jeff Johns is one of the greatest, people in comics. And I got to meet him for free. And I got him to sign 2 comic books for free, and it was amazing. Like things like, even if it wasn't for free, if it was like a small fee, and that fee is to get him here or to like pay for people to get certain things for free or whatever the case may be, is like it's cool that he did that instead of like going to like, oh, you had to meet him at some movie premiere doing that not a lot of people can go to, or it's like somewhere in LA or New York City where yes, a lot of people obviously live there, but it's ignoring the biggest, like all the other states. Like, like he went to a local comic book store and it was a small business, and he just it had the line out the door. Like it was so many people who were there. It's including me, who was there since like I think 6 a.m. I was in line at 6 a.m. Didn't meet him until 1 p.m. Like it's cool stuff like that can really help drive up revenue and attention and business for these small businesses. So that's something that we gotta like start really encouraging celebrities to start doing, encouraging some of these people who means a lot to these industries to start really paying attention to your average small businesses and local businesses and really start doing something. Like we need to start getting that going. And again, with organization, with a face, it's easier to communicate these things to people of note to get this moving instead of just a bunch of random people yelling at these celebrities to go do shit. Let's get more organized. It's not just about your money. It's about your time. It's about who you are. Stuff like that. Post alternative resources, like jobs, places to buy and sell, like flea markets, trade shows, card shows, stuff like that. The reason why I say jobs too, because I know a lot of people were saying, hey, get a lot disrupt the business, get people to quit or to leave their job. The thing about that is some of these places have unions or fought for unions, and it would just be a spin in their face to ask them to do that all the time. And also, now all of them can in certain situations, or they get replaced or get fired. There's a lot of weird shit that goes in with that, and so and depending what you want, that may not be the way to get the right results, and you can get replaced really easily. So if you want to have people do that, or if people want to do that, let's say they're like, hey, morally, value wise, this doesn't align with me, we should also do something like what the guy did for the gaming industry when people get fired. Like, he made a list of like jobs and a place where people can go. Like I said with the Reddits, local Reddits and stuff like that, you can do stuff where it's like, hey, here's a hiring board, and we can encourage small business and local business to start putting stuff on there. There's so many different ways and to go about this when it comes to jobs, because if people are going to quit, they're going to need money, especially this economy. So they're going to need a place to work. They can't just not work. You know what I'm saying? That'd just be, again, without an objective, without a clear goal. What are they quitting for? Like, yeah, I'm going to quit to boycott, to protest. What am I doing it for? Like, what's the end goal? Where does it end? When can I get another job? Like, those are kind of things that without having that clear, concise goal listed, there's no way I'm going to just quit just to freaking quit. Like, who's going to pay my bill? Like, there's a lot of that kind of stuff. Thrift and secondhand buy. You know, it's like I said, going and always getting the latest thing in these big fashions, whatever. You'd be surprised we can find thrifting. You'd be surprised we can find secondhand. You'd be surprised we can find these flea markets, swap meets, all these different things. Like, there's so many ways to get this stuff. So that's another way you can go about this. And lastly, one big march to show unity, enlist demands, rally your people. A lot of people do protests and do walks and stuff like that, which are fine. But here's the thing. What made some of the biggest well-known marches and protests so famous, so memorable, and actually moved the needle is that they had demands. They had a call to action. They had a rally. They rallied their people. They got them to do something. They knew what they wanted, what the objective was. They knew how to get to these people. They gave alternative ways and really rallied together to help people who needed it. For example, it's like, hey, you can't ride the bus. Okay, we're going to walk. Someone has a car. Hey, can we carpool? Can we do... There's so many different ways to go about certain things, like, you know, and it's also disciplined and really willing to, like, really willing to crash out over shit. But or the taxis, like, hey, we're just not riding taxis. Fuck your racism, fuck all that bullshit. We're not going to do certain things. We're going to just take the sub. We're going to carpool. We're going to do different things. Like, we're going to do Uber. Like, you know, people are protesting Uber, stuff like that, Tesla, stuff like that. So there's many different ways to go. But yeah, if you're going to do a march, you're going to do like a big thing. You want to be big, flashy. You want to just show force. It's a war strategy too. You want to show that force. You want to show that the sheer number is crazy. There are people who are willing to really be about this. And then you have the faces, you have the organization, you have whoever go and be like, yo, this is who we are. We'd love to see y'all here. These are the demands we want, or this is what we're demanding. This is what the results are. Like this is what we want the results to be. Like, this is what we want, right? Because some of these organizations may bend, but they're like, yo, these people are not serious. There's no goals. There's no nothing. They're just having like an attitude. They have like basically a temper tantrum. We'll let that get out of their system, and they'll be right back. Like, for example, you want Netflix to stop hiking these prices up and screwing you over? Stop subscribing to them. All their stuff is 100% subscription based. Even though they get ads now, the only way ads do anything is if people are watching them. Leave. Leave Netflix for a year minimum and look what happens. And I mean truly leave, right? For Amazon, people are talking about now shopping on Amazon. Bro, you're still subscribed to Amazon Prime. So what are you doing? Like, get off Amazon Prime. That's what you need to do. Cancel your Amazon Prime subscription for 2, 3, 4 years, bruh. Do that. Start doing that, right? You want to really hurt Amazon? Make them radioactive to work with. Make them not worth it, bro. For example, make it so, hey, studio execs, producers, you're shopping around these movies and TV shows that you want to get picked up by someone, it better not be Amazon, because we cancel our Amazon Prime subscription. That means we're not watching your shit. Not only that, and advertisers too. We're not paying to watch your ads because we're not even on there, right? Make them radioactive. Make producers, make studios be like, yo, make people like, we're not going to Amazon. We're not shopping at Amazon because people are not going to watch our stuff. They're going to actively boycott whatever we post. There is going to have bad press for our movie or TV show. It's not worth it. Let's go to Hulu, whatever. Like, just go somewhere else, or let's put it on cable again. Whatever the case may be, but it's like, make some of these companies radioactive to work with. That's how you really start. You really want to hurt them? Get rid of your Amazon Prime account. Stop shopping on Amazon. Boycott the movies that go on Amazon. Be like, fuck it. If you decide to ignore what we're trying to do, every movie or TV show that you decide to put on Amazon Studios, we're not going to watch it. We're going to actively boycott it and not do it. Make them radioactive to touch. Make them radioactive to work with. You don't do that, nothing's going to change. I promise you, nothing's going to change. You not shopping on Amazon for a day is not going to change a single thing. A single thing. It's a temper tantrum. It's very unserious. It has to be way more organized than this. It just has to be. But I agree with voting with your pocket, or voting with your pockets. I agree with protesting or boycotting with your pockets, with your wallet. But it needs to be purposeful. It needs to be a long haul. Things do not change in a day. Where you're boycotting is like, yo, until you meet our demands, or until, at bare minimum, until we start negotiating, until we're at the negotiation table, we are not letting up. We're boycotting until you decide to meet us at the table so we can start a dialogue. Because until the dialogue starts, nothing's changing. If the dialogue never started, things are not changing. So, those are kind of things I have to say about this. There's a couple other stuff, but like, off the top of my head, those are the things that I really wanted to talk about, really wanted to like see change when it comes to like some of this shit. I feel like it's very unserious, and it sucks. It really does suck that this is a thing, man. So yeah, like, comment, subscribe, share. Let me know your thoughts down below. Because I'm not perfect. This is not the answer, but this is just things I feel like are missing from a lot of protests / boycotting these days, at least in the United States. And it's just a bunch of chaos that ensures, and there's no results because there was no type of goal in mind to begin with. It was just a bunch of chaos and frustration. So I want more organization. I want more I want better promotion. I want strategic promotion. I want smaller scale. I want to really get into core nucleuses, change the nucleus, the whole body changes. Attack the weak spots. Like, I really need to see some of this stuff, and I think we can start getting people to the negotiation table. But until then, they're not going to care. So, see you on the next one. Peace out.